final. That
I
went
did
from
notice
3-0 straight
I
away.
did notice that. I was like, oh, I'm getting myself prepared here. And then I'm like, oh, we're going.
Yeah, I was like counting down, and it was like nothing. We're here again.
We are episode 5.
5.
And toi, quatre, say.
Episode
Say.
5.
Okay, that's French. No one cares about that, but
Yeah, I was going to do it in a different language, but I didn't. How's your week been?
Excelente. We're talking off stream about AFL Grand Final, and it took me a few days to recover, I guess you could say. We'll just keep it at that. But it did take me a little bit to get over that day in particular. But good game of football, good times. It's always good. The last Saturday in September is always I'll just put it this way, a maybe somewhat forgettable experience, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. And then the Sunday afternoon, the NRL Grand Final. Brisbane again losing in the last couple of minutes.
I don't think I've ever watched
Crazy
a minute
weekend.
of NRL in my life, but I do keep up with it on social media, and I'm like, oh, tough week to be Brisbane.
I love
do you?
NRL. Love it. I keep up just almost as much as
Well, there
football.
you go. It's not really a cultural thing in this state. It's a very
it's not.
New South Wales,
Not at
Queensland
all.
thing. As a New South Wales, what would that? A New South Welshman?
Welshman.
As someone who's from
Welshman.
from New South Wales, maybe I should give a crap more, but I don't. Just purely, I don't.
No, that's fair.
But I will say that I
That's
have
fair.
over the last I don't know, however long, month, maybe 2 months, I've actually been taking a slight interest in basketball.
Okay. Like NBL or
Yes,
NBA?
to both. I'm just trying to consume different things. I always knew that, so football really is the only sport that I really, truly watch. I don't really like a lot of sports. I don't know. I just like footy, and that's really about it. But I always knew that if I was going to have, another sport that I could kind of get myself into, maybe even just casually, would be basketball of some kind. I was like, I like this. This is cool. I like the vibe. It's rather easy to follow. You know what I mean? You can just kind of tap in. You're like, I get the concept. You still have to learn some rules, but I get it. It's pretty.
Get it in
And
the
you're good.
hole. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't just you can't travel, and you got to dribble it and pass it. Whatever. Cool. And it's very I don't know if anyone's gonna understand this. You might get this right, but it's very pro wrestling. It's very okay,
What do you
it's
mean?
it
Theatrical?
is kind of a little bit the spectacle of it. There's a lot happening at once with it. There's music going on. There's it's just very flashy and bright. It's very fast paced. A lot of the most popular people in basketball are characters of themselves, if you know what I mean. That's themselves turned up a little bit. As someone who consumes as much professional wrestling as I do, I'm the underlying things here, I'm there's some similarities here that I like. It's the theatrics of it and it's very
I get that.
colorful. It's very easy to just, I don't know. It kind of can grab you and pull you in a little bit. But I got the NBA 2K game and that because I work with 2K in Australia, so I was sure, let's play it. I'll play it. You can send it to me.
I love playing the 2K.
And I'm
I get
I'm
every
horrible
year.
at I'm truly quite ass at it.
Oh, I'm
but I'm having a good
trash.
time. Again, it's bright and colorful. It's I don't know. I just like the I'm not saying I'm a basketball guy. I'm not saying I'm gonna be fully tapped in. But if I was around some friend's house and they chucked that on, I wouldn't be mad. You know what I mean? If there was nothing else on, I wouldn't be mad. So I guess you can call me a super duper casual basketball guy now. But I've been getting into some basketball stuff. My kind of
Nice.
I guess history with basketball is Space Jam. You know what I mean? I don't have anything else. Bugs Bunny is my favorite basketball ever, So I don't really have a lot to do with basketball. But yeah, I always thought about it, but I was I can see it. I can see myself sitting down and being casually following this enough to have a team. I want to just dip my toe in enough just to be I like this team.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet. Once I get into it a little bit more, like but you know, my introduction to it was because of Josh Giddey, so I guess you know that's kind of neat.
Okay.
Yeah,
OKC.
exactly. Oklahoma City Thunder. Hey, I'm learning.
There you go.
I am learning. Yeah. So that's just where I'm at. But so anyone that's listening, that's like, oh, you want to get Josh into another sport? Hook me into some NBA. Hook me into some basketball. Let's see if I can get on the ship. Probably not, but we'll see.
I've been to an NBA game. It was quite the show. Yeah, it's good.
The vibe seems fun. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's pretty good. Except I was on like a Tuesday night in New York against some random team, so it wasn't over the top.
Seems fun. I'm into it.
It was fun. Yeah. Should we hit go on this number? See where we're going today. So the number is 75.
75. The 1975 is a great band. The lead singer is pretty problematic, but they make some good... Exactly. It's like being problematic is his problem. I'll let him deal with that. But yeah, I like the 1975. There's some fun facts about the number 75.
This question could not have come at a better time for me. Number 75. Do you have any routines you use to improve your energy and focus?
You can go first.
Oh, I'm thinking about it because I've actually been struggling with this today. I've had an absolute wretched day. So just, you know, in the rut of going to work every day. So I thought, I think we can build this one to the end and we'll see if we can figure anything out while we talk. Because first question I had this week, what did you want to be when you were older? Or when you grew up? When you were a kid? I asked Rory this today. He was like, just so many things. Maybe I'll just take turns every day. I was like, okay, that sounds fair. But was there anything that stood out to you as a kid?
Oh, man. I was one of those kids that was like, I think we were talking about this last week. I was very good at drama at school. I was a kid that I was like, I want to be in movies. I want to be on stage. I want to be singing and dancing. I was that kid. Clearly none of that happened. Yet. But I was that kid that was that one that all the other kids would be like, sure. Okay, whatever you say. I was that kid. There was always something, I guess it was just performance was always something. That was when I was much younger. As I got to like be a teenager though, something a bit more realistic was I always wanted to own my own business of some kind. I wanted to be my own boss. Like whether that be like some kind of like weird like cafe thing. Like I was always like, I want to do something in that field. That also didn't happen. But I guess I just got more realistic with dreams. It was nothing, you know, too exciting, I guess. It's too pretty... Well, one's pretty bland and one's just like out there. But yeah, I was that kid. Performance was always I was like I said last week, I don't mind the attention of people being like, what's going on over here? So I never had that shyness and that as a child. So it was always that. And then you just get older and I guess more realistic things happen. But just still to this day, I guess, like, it's weird to think about myself as an adult because I don't feel like an adult, but I guess I am an adult, so I guess I am grown up. But, like, I think we've said this before. We've certainly said it to each other. Radio has now always been just allowing myself to have that creative outlet in some way. I'm such a creative person when I can't be creative in what I'm doing, it's very hard for me to just be passionate about that because I'm just bored, and then once I'm bored, I'm no good to you.
I understand that fully. I have the same thing. If I can't be creative or a little bit, and maybe creative in a little bit of a different way, but I think I've been really thinking about it the last couple of days, especially like what do I want to be when I'm older, sort of thing. Now, even and what did 10-year-old me want to be when he was older. So I've been really trying to put some focus into, there you go, focus, what I wanted to be. And I think a lot of it comes down to performing and performance, sort of thing, and making people smile. I think that's what I wanted to do when I'm older. I want to make people smile and happy. And if I can do that through telling some jokes somehow, still haven't quite figured out the medium in which I think best for me. But that's what I want to do.
Smiling is important, even on shitty days. Smiling is sometimes very hard to do, but I'm always that crack a joke kind of person just because of that element to it. There's something that makes me happy when other people, sometimes to a fault, sometimes I'll make a joke at my expense to make someone else happy, but which I guess in turn really isn't the healthiest thing in the world. But I will always be the one that's like, it's uncomfortable here, I'm gonna crack a joke. You know what I mean? And even sometimes the most like just imbecile like things, like the dumbest things, just to make a room lighter, I will do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't agree more with that. I like to do that myself. If it gets a bit awkward or a bit tense or whatever, it's always a joke about myself or, something light and just to break the tension. But I think I want to be able to do that more often in a broader way, maybe. But the thing I struggle with is the things that I want to do. I don't know if you feel this, but like, I also noticed that you would have noticed today that I did a post on our social media.
Yeah.
Which is big for me.
Yeah, no, I did see that. I got home from work and I was like, there's notifications on the Apples to Oranges X. And I was like, did I post today? Because I don't remember. And I was like, okay. Like, we're recording this obviously on a Wednesday like we normally do. Wednesday is a pretty wild day at work for me always. It's always probably the busiest day of the week at work for where I work in the world. And and I was like, did I make a post? I mean, I may have. And then I was like, oh, Ray made a post. Look at him go. And that's something that I've been behind the scenes, been like, Ray, let's do this because you wanted to improve your social media game. And I like to consider myself pretty comfortable on social media. I'm not a genius at it, but I don't mind the old social media interaction. I'll put it that way. So I've been pushing Ray. I've been like, come on, you can do it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I usually get to, like, I'll think of something witty to say or whatever to someone, and then I'll just be like, they don't want to hear from me.
That motivates me more. Fine. I'm like, you don't want my opinion, so I'm going to put my opinion. That's very, like, white male of me. But I'm going to put my opinion on there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to try and make a concerned effort to... Is it concerned effort?
Like
I don't know if that's the same.
Conscious effort?
Concerned effort? Yeah, conscious effort. Not a
concerned
concerned
sounds,
effort.
yeah, you're like
I'd be
stressed. I don't want you to stress about social media.
No, I'm definitely not stressed about social media. But yeah, most of the time I'm just like, no one really wants to read this, so I just
come on,
keep
Ray.
it to myself.
You got to embrace it.
Whereas if I'm like this, I'll say whatever I'm thinking, or if I'm in a group of people, I'll say whatever I'm thinking. But it's just online. I'm like, ugh. I think I've been burnt. Not burnt. That's the wrong word. I've got quite a close person in my life who's an oversharer on social media. And I'm like, and they don't even put up like opinions about things or anything really relevant. And it's just like 4 or 5 times a day of like just nonsense, and you're like, oh, I don't want to.
There's a fine line.
So then you go
There's
the
a
other way.
fine line on social media of being I don't know how else to describe it without just saying you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot more sense. Because, yeah, there is a fine line of oversharing and trying to build a brand.
I am. Well, go
I
on.
also am very wary of, like, what I want that to
Yeah,
be.
that's fair.
I'm very cautious of what I want that to be. Like, so I was with another close person to me on the weekend, trying to keep descriptives away because anonymity, and they probably don't see it the same way that I do. So, like, we were playing out drinking game, and I'm not a big drinker. Like, maybe once or twice a year, I might have a few drinks. So we were playing our drinking game, and I got quite drunk, and then my player won Norm Smith, so I had to do the challenge at the end. And this person was like, "Oh, let's film it, and so you can get it on your socials and stuff. Like, if you're going to be serious about this, you've got to, like, do this stuff." And I'm like, I don't think my brand, because it's not really a brand, but I don't want my persona online
Your
to be
perception.
something that I'm not. Perception online, that's a great word for it. I don't want my perception to be that, because that's not who I am. It's not very authentic of me, and I think authenticity is the difference between success on that sort of thing. In a way, anyway.
No, I agree. I I my perception of things changed a lot when it comes to social media. When I first started content creating, which I don't know why I don't like that term. I just don't. I don't know why. It just sounds just weird. I don't know. But when I first started doing all this kind of stuff in 2017, 18-ish, whenever I started, 2018, I think. I was like very driven on what I can only put this out on the internet. I can only do this. This is all people want to see out of me, because I got into the professional wrestling side of things. I was like, no one wants to hear me talk about my life. No one wants to see anything else about me having opinions on this. I wouldn't talk about anything. I wouldn't play any other games on Twitch that weren't in that world. Then all of a sudden, I was in podcasting land with that, and it was doing pretty well. Started getting more opportunities in the wrestling sphere of things, and I was, for some reason, something I love so much and something I love doing so much, I just got bored. About a year and a half to it would have been the end of 2019. I was like, I am just so bored with talking about the same thing, and I'd start to like cluster in and just kind of like toss in little, I'll just start talking about other things, and I'll just start being like, oh, well, do you like what I'm talking about, or do you like me? And then I just kind of took it 360 because COVID hit. I was like, I'm bored out of my mind, and I just started doing other things, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. What my perception of myself out onto the world, onto the social media world, is just being myself. So I just cranked it up and just went like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to give you not everything. There's still things, of course, that I don't put out on the internet that I keep to myself. But you're just going to get a bigger perception of me and my brand on the internet. Again, quote unquote brand. That sounds like I'm like this big shot. It's very pretentious, doesn't it? It just sounds very like bougie.
Yeah, I brought that word into it. So
my brand on the internet just became me. And I just started doing things like, if anyone that's listening or watching sees my TikToks and my tweets and my posts on different things, my Twitch, all of that kind of stuff, I literally just put my personality at the forefront, and whatever I'm doing is just kind of like not important. It's not important what I'm doing, but you're here because you like this person. So I just kind of take my audience wherever I want to kind of go with things, especially on stuff like Twitch and you know, whatever. So, you know, no matter what you kind of found me for, or whatever thing you found me for, and whatever platform it was, you kind of get me everywhere. So that's my kind of idea of social media. And as someone who has studied marketing, and adjacent social media managing and social media marketing, it goes against a lot of the grain to do certain things like that, because a lot of things will always tell you stay within your audience, because that will just expand. Yes, you might stay in a bubble, but you'll get more of a quality of audience rather than quantity. And sure, that is completely correct, but I've always been like, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone and just what my base is of like what brought me to the dance to do other things. So I've always just kind of, like over the last few years, it's just kind of evolved into my social media brand is just literally just I'm me, maybe with the dials turned up a little bit just to, because I don't want to just be like sitting here doing nothing, but I am just, you kind of get 90% of me, and the 10% is just the things I keep private. But yeah, anyone that's watched my TikToks knows that I am an idiot, but I mean that in an endearing way. Like, I just like, if it's in my brain, I just get it out. That comes back to like the creative side of me. Man, if I'm, it's not, I can tell when I'm creatively drained or when I'm creatively like, I don't know what the word is, but when you have to keep it in and you can't let that crap out, I am not fun to be around because I just have to exercise that in some way, somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot. There's something else I just thought of as well. I was like, oh, I'm going to put that in. Oh, that's right. My answer to the question. I've been thinking about it. So I'll go first this time. What I do to focus my energy and... what was the full question? Oh, hang on. Locked on me. To improve my energy or focus. So I like to consume audio when I'm feeling like this. So I'll find a handful. Well, I've got a handful of people who I find extremely inspiring. And I'll find some sort of audio medium that they are on recently or that I've already listened to. And I'll listen to them for a day. So the couple of people recently who I've been listening to that really get me in a really good headspace is Ned Brockman. Do you know Ned Brockman? Ned Brockman, was it earlier this year or last year, ran from Perth to Bondi in like 40 days, 100 Ks a day.
Oh my God.
And he was just a tradie from Perth. He's like 26 years old. He's a tradie from Sydney, from the country, moved to Sydney, didn't like how many homeless people he's seen around the place, so decided he was going to start running for charity and raised like $2 or $3 million for his run across the country. And now he's written a book, and next March he's going to try break a world record for most pull-ups in 24 hours. He's going for like 8,500 or something.
All right, I'm looking him up now, by the way, on my Google just while you're talking, and I'm like, I think I know who this guy is. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have seen him. And he just talks about keeping on showing up and, getting it done. Because when you hear about what he did went through his run, and you're like, geez, he just stuck at it, like just had no excuses, just got it done. I find sometimes I need that. The other big one at the moment, and I think he's front of mind because I listened to him yesterday, is Harry Garside. Do you know Harry Garside, the boxer?
You lost me again, but it's fine.
So Harry Garside is like 25 or 26. He was in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. He's been to the Olympics, won a bronze medal at the Olympics. But his whole philosophy on life is just be who you want to be. Like, he's a professional boxer, but he loves doing ballet. And he just loves people being themselves. And he's very big on like the mental side. So whenever you see him on interviews and stuff, he has these mindfulness alarms go off. and he's like, sorry, got to do this. And he'll either stop the interview and do this alarm, because one will say, like, visualize yourself getting to exactly where you want to get to, or like touch something that you're sitting on so you can really feel connected to it and feel like present in the moment, sort of thing. And he'll just take 30 seconds out of the interview to like do that. And he's just very strong-minded in making sure that he's mentally prepared for everything. So those couple of guys, and you know, there's a few others. Like I might go listen to the Willosophy podcast, or the Imperfects or something. Someone who I find inspiring, and listen to their story and be like, I can do that too. So that's how I regain my focus. It sort of takes me a day of just listening to someone or some people, and just going, okay, other big people can do it, so I can do it, sort of thing.
God, I wish I had that. I'm very bad at that kind of stuff, of losing focus on things, becoming a bit jaded with things. Someone who probably does have undiagnosed ADHD, yeah, I find it very hard to remain focused on anything. I can't really, I'm not saying I don't listen to podcasts, but I'm a very visual person. I find that when if I try to focus down, sit down and listen to a podcast, I get distracted really easy because there's nothing to look at. So I end up going on my phone, and then I'm like, oh, what was happening with the podcast? Unless I'm exercising, like if I'm on a run or if I'm at the gym, music is usually the number one choice. But like that's when I can really listen to a podcast, because I'm keeping my hands busy, which is a big thing for me. I know that sounds like dumb, but like I have to be fiddling with something, even if it's just like playing with something in my hands, just like this. I have to be fiddling. I think I get focused on, like, in my brain, if I'm just sitting down, say if I'm sitting down listening to a podcast with nothing on in front of me visually, I start to think about my body. I start to go, what are my arms doing? What are my hands doing? What are my ears doing? I know it sounds, again, weird, but that's just how my brain is wired. So, like, I'm a very fidgety person because of that. So I sometimes focusing down on something like that is very, very difficult for me, just because of those reasons.
That's very interesting to me, because I'm like, in not like a negative way or anything, I'm kind of the opposite. So like, I was just thinking about it as you were saying that. Now, so when I'm at work, I'll be working away on the computer, typing, reading something, and I cannot focus on that unless I'm listening to something. Unless I'm audibly stimulated. Sounded weird. I didn't need to say that. But if I don't have like music or a podcast or something in my ears at the same time, I find it very hard to focus on doing what I'm doing. So like the same way that you're saying you need the visual stimulation. I don't know why I keep saying the word stimulate. If you need the visual in front of you to keep focused, in a weird way, I need the audio to stay focused on the visual.
If I was at work on the computer and I had something in my ears, I'm gone. I would not be able to work and then listen to something at the same time, because it's not correlating to the same thing. So, like, I couldn't have something.
I can't do it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to. If I was trying to focus on work, for example, I need to put my attention into that and just think about that. Music might be okay, but if I was listening to someone have a conversation in my ears, while I wouldn't be able to, I would have to stop doing work and go do something else that isn't taking a big section of my brain to be able to focus down on that. Yeah, it's weird how my brain operates. The only true time where I feel like I could lay down or sit down and, probably just lay down and listen to a podcast is getting ready for bed. And I'm laying down in a dark room and I just have that noise because I can shut my eyes and just be. But usually if I do that, I'll fall asleep within 15, 20 minutes because I'm just gone. And then I wake up and I'm like, what? Did I listen to that? Or was that a dream or whatever? Actually, that's a really weird thing. I think we're talking about, I don't know if it was last week or the week before that, but we were talking about how you don't dream or you don't remember your dreams. And I was like, I want to dream. I want to like remember I want to remember my dreams, and I want to like, I had told you I used to write them down. Well, over the last week or 2 weeks, whatever it's been, I've tried to take note of that, and I've opened up my phone if I've woken up from a dream and I put it in my notes. I went through it yesterday, and there wasn't a lot really in it. It was just like random, honestly, just random things. But I did notice that there was one like thing, because I would honestly write it and then forget that I had wrote it and then go back to it a little later, and I'll be like, that's right. And now I can't visualize the dream or anything like that from the notes. I can kind of get little snippets and be like, oh yeah, I guess that did happen. I can't like correlate it in my brain to like make a coherent thought. But the weird thing about it is that there was one person that showed up in all of my notes, and I didn't realize it until I went through my notes. And I recorded about 6 or 7 dreams in the last week or two. And yeah, there was the same person in every single one of them, which is really weird. And it was a person that I don't necessarily consider like a big part of my life. Like, they're in my life, but they're not like, like someone I focus on or something like that, which I found really kind of strange. Again, I tried to put it all together, and it honestly was going to try and, have this big grandiose thing for here. But it really doesn't make a lot of sense. It was just kind of like very normal, kind of mundane things. But yeah, there was one person that showed up in every single one of my dreams that I recorded.
You're right. Do you believe in like?
Yes.
There's a meaning.
Yes,
behind
I
your
do,
dream?
but I don't know how to decipher. I tried to, but I couldn't decipher it because it was so mundane. Like, it was so just like normal. Like, one of my dreams was literally just me in my house watching television with this person. Like, very mundane things, at least from what I had recorded in my notes. A lot of them were jumbled because it was like waking up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, But I wanted to try and make a note to do it. But I think it'd be kind of cool. Like, I don't know if we could ever figure out a way to do this or not. But as someone who is, again, not like a super duper spiritual person, but is in like the idea of it is fun to me. It'd be cool to get like our cards read on the podcast and just see what comes up. Now, I don't know if I wanted, if I would be, who knows what would come up in those kind of things. And I don't know how, personal or private it would get, and whether we would release it or not. But I think it would be kind of cool to do that just to see, like, and just to talk about to someone that is kind of a bit fruity. I like that. Like, I like people that can kind of get into that and talk to them about dreams and talk to them about, I see the same number every day. The same time
What?
I've talked about, I have
too.
seen, I'm not even kidding, nearly every day of my life for the last 5 or 6 years, I see the same time at both times of the day. And it is weird. 4:34. So I see it at 4:34 p.m. And I'll wake up sometimes, either instantly look at my phone, or sometimes I'll just be laying there and I can't fall back asleep. Then the first time I look at my phone, it is 4:34. I've talked about this people. It is so weird. I've looked it up before. Like, there's like things called like angel numbers. And again, I can't decipher it, but I'd like to be in contact with someone that maybe just either be like, it's just a coincidence. But it can't be a coincidence if I've been seeing this. I'm not saying it's every day, but like, majority, like I'm saying 4 or 5 times a week, I will see these numbers on the same day, and I will always see, if I see 4:34 a.m., I'll see p.m. And I'm not just saying I'm like looking for it. I'm like, oh, it's nearly 4:34. Like, I will just check my phone or look at a clock or get in my car and I'll see that number. Like, it is so odd to me that kind of stuff happens, and it's been happening since since I was like a teenager. I'm talking like, this has been happening for a long, long time. And I just cannot decipher why I see this time all the time and what it correlates to in my life. Like, again, not everyone is into that. And I understand there's reasons why you wouldn't be into that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm pretty into it in the sense of just like being fascinated by it. I think it would be cool to get like a card reader of some kind on a podcast. And you know, again, don't get your hopes up, anyone. A, we might not be able to do it. And B, it might get personal to the point where I'm like, I don't really want to put this on the internet. But I think it'd be cool for me and Ray, of course, if Ray wants to, do that kind of stuff, because I feel like there's surely ways that you could talk to people, be like, hey, we're recording something. We want you to read our kind of energy or whatever for whatever time and trying and get it kind of sorted. I know people in my life that do it that I've never been read to before from them that I'm pretty sure I could convince to come on. But just kind of being pretty, the fact that people, again, you don't necessarily have to believe in it, but just being open to the fact that, like, just let it happen the way it happens, and then kind of you can take anything with a grain of salt, I guess. But yeah, I all in all, what I was saying is I recorded my dreams to try and see if it would just it would be content, and it really wasn't. But yeah, I think that's an interesting concept to tackle.
Yeah, that's so cool. We should definitely get one of them on. Or, yeah, I'm sure there's someone on X that loves doing it that would love to come on. Yeah, that's so cool. I
don't even think I answered the question, by the way, but all in all, I can't remain focused because it's impossible for me sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, every now and then I just need that little boost of, like, I get stuck where I'm like, I'm trying all these things, nothing's really working. And then I get to a point where I get to a day like today and I'm like, ugh, am I actually trying anything? Like, I haven't done anything. What am I doing? And you get that little voice in your head that's like, you're not good enough, sort of thing. And then you've just got to, like, re-switch that focus and be like, okay, what am I doing? How can I do it differently? How can I do it better? Like, this might actually be a weird one to relate to for me, but Cozzy, you know Cozzy from South Aussie with Cozzy? For anyone not in South Australia, you probably don't know him, I don't know. But we were talking with him one day at radio school, and he was saying that radio is his biggest passion, to the point where he struggles to listen back because he's too negative on himself, because he loves it so much that he, like, really picks it apart and wants it to be perfect all the time. So I'm like, when I do something, I've got to, as what he said, I've got to, like, find one thing. Don't just pick everything apart. Find one thing that you didn't like, or not that you didn't like, but that you think you could improve on, and work on that. Listen back again next week. See if you improved in that. If you did, what's the next thing, sort of thing. So I find just little things, just tackling little things, helps me regain my focus. But everyone's different.
Yeah, I'm a very self-critical person, so little things do help, because sometimes I feel like knocking down a bunch of small buildings will knock over the big building. So that's how I kind of see things like that. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. I was also, because today I was just, you know, when you're not in a bad mood, you're just in a meh mood, and everything sort of annoys you. So I was like, let's start the complaints department tonight. You know how sometimes you just want to complain for the sake of complaining? And it's not really anything to do with anything. You just wanted to complain about something. So what really annoys you? What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, God. I don't know if it's my biggest, but it comes to my brain. I know I'm speaking into the stereotype of a gay man who likes to walk fast, but slow walkers need to get out of my way. Move. I have places to be. Even if I have nowhere to be, I have somewhere to be doing nothing. Move out of my way. Stop moving slow. It's quite petty. Just move. I'm with people and they're like, why are you walking so fast? I'm like, because time, what's the point of taking your time with this? Get out of my way. I'm going to speed past you. I do not care. So if you're a slow walker, get moving.
I'm a notorious
Ray, I'd
slow
be
walker.
3 blocks ahead of you. I'd be like, I'll see you at our destination. I'm horrible for it. Horrible.
Yeah.
Pet peeves are going to be fun. We could spend a lot of time on this because I have a long list. So please jump in.
Yeah, I was like, we've done like, what's our favorite? What's our this, that? Let's do what we hate. What really annoys us, because sometimes, what really annoys me is when people use big words.
Oh, bitch.
Like, you don't need to use that. You can just say the proper word. Like, you don't need to add such a big, long word in there just to make yourself sound witty. That really shits me.
Oh, that one is good. Okay, so when you're watching a movie with someone, and no, I'm not going to say when people spoil it for you, is when you're watching a movie with someone and they've never watched and they ask you what happens. Excuse me, just watch the movie and you'll find out. I'm not going to tell you what happens. I can't. Oh, is this the part? Well, what happened? No, just watch the movie. That's why we're watching it. I don't know. Again, it's not even on. It's on. It's just like, why I know you're asking and you want to be spoiled, but I'm not going to spoil this for you. Stop. Why do people have to know about something happening before they watch it? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's a good one. Another one for me is when you're out in public and there's a group of people or a couple of people or at least one person that feels like they need to broadcast their conversation to the whole collective group of people in public, so that it's almost like they're fishing for someone to join in.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And like ask them about it or whatever. I don't care about you. Keep your conversation to you. You don't need to go so loud. Like, we don't
that correlates with my next one, because it's people who speak on loudspeaker in public. I don't need to hear your phone conversation out loud. And they're like, talk. No, put it to your ears. That's what's called your phone. I don't need to hear that in the street.
Yeah.
You idiot. Just stop being an idiot.
How hard is your life that you don't have the energy in your arm to hold your phone to your ear? Like, oh, sorry, I'm going to have to call you back. My arm's
Shut
tired.
the hell up.
No. Just put it up there.
Ray, you've unlocked like a part of my brain that's just like cooking. People who are at, like, say if you're out to eat somewhere, say if you're at a food court, Ray, all right? You eat your food, you're like, nom, 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 yum. And then you get up and you just walk off. No, you take your rubbish and you put it in the bin. Do not leave that rubbish there. You are a lazy idiot. Pick it up and put it in the bin. It's not hard. You're walking that direction anyway. If you're at a food court or anywhere like some kind of like fast food place, there is an ample amount of bins that you can find just to pop your tray up there and pop your rubbish in the bin. Don't make the people... That's so lazy. Gosh.
Agreed. Another one. I don't know if this is just specific to me or whatever, but if you have... So, say, example at my work, I am in a position now where I know quite a bit, so people have to ask me questions to do their job. If they ask me a question and say, how do I do this? And then listen to the answer so they don't have to ask me next time, perfect. If they go, can you deal with this? And just flick it off to you and just make you deal with it, because then they have to do it next time and next time and next time, because they don't learn anything, because they don't want to learn anything.
That happens a lot in my... No, that happens a lot at my work, and I don't like it either. I won't even go into that one. You know, it's a really big one. Actually, this kind of goes together. It's like 2 in 1. Slurping loudly when you drink soup or a coffee. If you go like this, delete, get out, get away from me. Chewing also goes, I don't need to hear the food in your mouth. Who didn't tell you when you were 7 years old to chew with your mouth closed? It's disgusting. I need to see what you're eating in your mouth. Keep it to yourself. It's just please, please, please stop doing that. But yeah, slurping a coffee, even worse if they go, shut up. Shut up.
Oh,
Walk in front of incoming
worst.
traffic.
You
Get out.
don't need to broadcast that you're swallowing. Yes. Also, add to that one, just to pile on the back of that one, content creators who base their stuff around food and insist on making you hear how crunchy it is.
I don't need to hear you crunching those tortilla chips. I don't need to. Yuck.
I hate hearing people crunch. Yes, that's the worst. What's some other ones? This is very cathartic.
This is my favorite episode we've ever done because I can just whinge. I can just whinge and whinge and whinge and whinge. This is any kind of event, but I'm just going to make it specific to myself. When you go to Adelaide Oval, you're sitting in a seat, say you're not standing, you're not in general admission, you're sitting in a seat, and the person next to you has to get up every 5 to 10 minutes because they need to go get a snack, they need to go to the toilet, and they do that thing of, I'm just gonna get past, and you have to tuck in, and you have to get it all at once, and get the hell out. You don't need to be getting up. Go at halftime. Go at quarter time. You don't need to be getting up 5 minutes into the game because you need to fill your face with fries. Go the other way. Don't keep pushing me. That's, again, very petty, and I understand that. But you don't need to get up 500 times in a 2.5 hour game of football just to satisfy your needs.
Agreed. That's why I sit on the wall where I sit at Adelaide Oval. So no one has to. That's big brain energy from me.
That's good.
I hate people that are generally rude to service
workers.
Yes,
me too.
Nurses especially. If you're rude to a nurse, give yourself an uppercut. They're literally there trying to help you. That is literally their job. I will not
give away where I work, but I will say that I work in the health industry. Let's just put it like that. I am trying to help you and your family stop attacking me for trying to help you just because this costs too much or you're not doing it the way that I want you to do it. Let me do my job and I'll help you. Don't be rude to me because all that does as me as a person is I don't want to help you. I will still help you because I am paid to do so, but I don't want to help you to the fullest of my abilities. So you're just making life a lot harder for yourself. Agreed. So don't be rude to retail workers. If you go in and you complain to a retail worker about a price of something or why something isn't on the shelf or why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Stop treating retail workers or fast food workers beneath you. You are there because you want that service. So why is it so beneath you to be a worker at Coles or Woolworths or McDonald's or, you name them? Stop treating them like dirt. Just because you're paying their wages. People love to say, I'm paying your wages. It's well, no, you specifically are not paying my wages. I'm going to get paid whether you're here or not. So you just back up. As someone who worked in fast food and worked in retail for so long, stop having a whinge to the 16-year-old checkout girl that's putting through your, $8 toilet paper. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had on the phone yesterday actually. It was actually shocking to me how shocked she was on the phone. So I was calling up to get the pool serviced here at my house. And she's like, unfortunately I can't fit you in till about the 20th of October. I was like, okay, no worries. Do you think we can do it the week after, on a Tuesday or Wednesday? She's like, usually people are like, you need to do it sooner. That's too long. I need it done now. I was like, no, I understand that you're telling me that because that's when you can do it. Like, and she was like, oh, that's thank you. Well, actually, let's do it this way because it'll be cheaper for you. And then they're more willing to help you if you help them.
I'm a person that controls schedules in my job, and I get that all the time. And if I have a person like yourself who would have said that, I would be more willing to be way more flexible and try and do something to help you. But if you whinge and moan, all I'm going to do is be like, I'm not going to help you. All I want to do is end this phone call. I'm always polite. I'm always this, but like, you need to stop treating people that are just trying to help you or whatever the service is, to do so, because it's not okay. Here's another one.
No.
People who are always late for things all the time. Stop being late. It's always the same person that's late to everything. Stop being late. There's a time for you on purpose. Be there on time. I am an early person. I understand that. I am at things 15 minutes before I'm meant to be there. I get it. But just rock up on time. And it's okay to be late sometimes. I'm not saying you have to be, sometimes stuff happens, I understand. But it's always the same person strolling into work, strolling into a party, strolling into the date, strolling into whatever, 10, 15 minutes late. Stop being late to things. There's a time that you organized on purpose. There's a reason for that said time. Stop being late. It's not okay.
Yes, I totally agree. I'm like, that is it actually gives me like a full on like physical reaction if I'm running late to something. I can't deal with being late to anything. I'm early all the time. So yeah, that one's a big one for me. I'm trying to think if I've got any others. I think I don't know. I feel very free now that I've just complained for. I think we just complained for about 15 minutes.
I feel elated. I feel absolutely elated. I'll add one more just because. So this isn't in all settings. It's okay if you're not using it correctly for comedy, or if you're not using it correctly for just how you present yourself on social media or whatever. But if you're being a professional person, you better be using grammar correctly. Put that apostrophe in the place that it's meant to go. Know the difference between your and your, whether it's possessive or not. You need to understand that in a I get it. I know people.
And
I know a lot of people are probably looking at me like, Josh, I read your social media posts. You don't put any capital letters. You put no sentence. You put no periods. And that's because the way I like to present myself as funny is I find reading it like that is funnier. I know the difference between your and your. I know where to put an apostrophe, I know where to put a comma, and I know where to put a full stop. If you're in a professional setting and I read your email, and I read emails on a day-to-day basis in my setting, and trust me, some of the most professional people that you think should know how to use that do not use that properly. Format an email properly too, by the way, while you're at it. There's a way to do it, and you need to learn how to do it to look professional for your business. Oh my God, I'm just going on a rant here, but you got me started.
No, and people that use all capitals.
Well, it depends on the setting.
I just, that sort of stuff annoys
me.
But
like,
too.
If someone's just constantly typing in all capitals, then I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You need to use it in context, I guess. But just know your grammar in the context of what you're doing. Grammar is important.
I agree. Totally agree with that.
Wow, I feel like 20 kilos lighter after that. That was amazing.
Yeah. Nice little session. We'll call that the complaints department. And every now and then we just maybe need to slip into the complaints department when we have.
That's good.
Okay, this will unless you got anything else, let's discuss this as our. Actually, one more complaint department. I'm just gonna head back into the complaint department. People that say they don't like food if they haven't tried said food.
That's not me. I'm a bit that person. Really? I'm horribly that person.
It's like someone that I work with always says like, oh, I don't like Spanish food. Well, have you tried any? Or well, I don't actually know what it is. Well, how do you know you don't like it?
Ray, you would hate me.
And like,
you would hate me.
how do you? No, it's just like there's a difference between knowing you don't like eggplant and just being against the thought of eggplant.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what
Well,
I mean there.
yes, but that could be the same for anything, Ray. Because a lot of people would say to me, well, Josh, how do you know you don't like eggplant if you haven't tried the others? I'm like, well, I've tried both. And trust me, I like eggplant. But that's just someone that could be for anything. How do you know unless you don't try it? But that being said,
Yeah.
I haven't tried a lot of foods, but I don't like them.
Okay. Each to their own. All right, let's finish with this question then. What is your least favorite food?
God. Mushrooms. That's something I actually have tried, and they're freaking gross. What a horrible texture of food. The taste of it it's basically an eraser. Get out of here. If you serve me something, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, this looks delicious. And then they go, oh, it's got mushrooms in it. I'm throwing it in the bin. Yuck. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like mushrooms, but like if it's in something, I'll get through it. But I've found the last couple of times I've had mushrooms, it's given me like a really high racing heart rate.
Shit.
So I'm like, maybe it's that. So I'm like, oh well. Mine's seafood.
I'm not a
I
seafood
hate
guy
seafood.
either. And that's another thing that I have
I've
tried.
tried it, but I hate it.
I can't get past the smell of it. And it makes me just, I'm like, why would I want to eat that? It smells like shit.
Yeah. Some of it looks so nice when I see it cooked, but I'm like, I just don't like it. I've tried it all. As I said,
It just stinks.
I can't be a hypocrite. But yeah, I don't like
How can you sit there and eat an
Just
oyster?
can't
I just
stand
don't understand. It's an alien.
it. Yeah, I know. Feels disgusting in your mouth.
And I still don't understand how people, why does it make people like horny? I don't get it. Why would eating an oyster
I don't know.
make me want a bone? I don't get that. What's the correlation? Because yuck.
Yeah, I agree. Oysters, gross.
Yep.
Chuck them in the bin.
Mushrooms for me. Mushrooms. Oh, if I see a pizza come out and I'm like, oh yeah, good fucking pizza, and then there's some mushroom on it. Ugh. It just goes through everything. It's disgusting. The texture, it's just a bad time. So yeah, seafood and mushroom, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough.
I do want to say this, as everyone knows, I think I talk about them on every single episode at some point. Paramore are releasing as of this day that this drops, Paramore are releasing a rework of their album they released earlier this year. It's called This Is Why, and it's like it's all the songs from the album plus one B-side that is Paramore, but it's 10 reworks of their songs by different artists. So it's like a whole cover album, but it's like reworked versions of the songs. Cool. So some of it is like reworked classically, and some of it is reworked in different ways, and just it's like a remix album, but it's just a bunch of bands and artists that inspired them to make This Is Why. And I just think that's a cool concept. Maybe I'm biased because I love the band, but like I just think that's a cool concept to do, to just hear the album that they wrote, the record that they wrote, the way it was inspired by the people that it was inspired by, and just kind of hearing again, because I'm such a music junkie and just a music nerd, and like hearing the songs that I fell in love with in a completely different way, and then also just getting one B-side like a that was recorded like years ago, or was written years ago between like two album cycles, and hearing that in a new light. So yeah, there's a new Paramore. I guess it's not technically a new Paramore record. I don't really know how to describe it, but there's a new Paramore adjacent record coming out as this drops on Friday. So that's what I'm doing Friday.
That'll be cool. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'll have to listen to that.
I just wanted to mention it. I don't know why I wanted to bring it up, but I just feel like
definitely.
the more I talk about Paramore, the happier I am. So Yeah, that's kind of neat. Also, I will say, I know it won't fall on a recording day, but I think it'll be kind of cool because I'll have my stuff with me when I go to Melbourne. Maybe we should record an episode when I'm in Melbourne, for Paramore, because I just think a different setting would be kind of neat in this space, because I feel like I think different when I'm in different places. Because we're always sitting in the same, we're always sitting in the same kind of thing, and I think it also would be beneficial that I need to get my butt down to Adelaide at some point, and we do, an episode now and then in person, because I think it would make, even if you get to my neck of the woods at some stage, which I don't think is happening, but you never know. If you're in my neck of the woods, and we can there's a bug that's flying in my shot. But just to do like an episode every now and again in person, because I think it would change the vibe a little bit.
Definitely would. Yeah, we should definitely do some different ones. Try and do some different stuff.
Because I will say,
engaged.
This show, when me and Ray were talking about the concept of what we wanted this show to be, in some ways I understand where it's gone and why it's gone in the way that it has. But 5 episodes in, you start to try and you're still searching for your groove, but I'm feeling the train moving. I'm like, oh, I understand where we're going with this. It is not what I thought it was going to be, and I mean that in a nice way. It's not. It's not what I thought it was going to be, and I think it's better than I thought it would be in my brain. But we've kind of. I don't really show this side where I'm talking for a whole hour, where I'm not constantly looking for the laugh.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I was thinking about this the other day because, again, I was listening to something and they were talking about this sort of thing, and I was previously in podcasts I've done before. I've done it on the going into it thinking, this is like, how are we going to make this big? How are we going to make this big? What do I have to talk about to make this big? What it's going to hit the most people? But then this one, I'm just like, I genuinely just enjoy the hour-long chat and see where it goes, because I've learnt some things from you. I've taken this to some deep and dark places today with the complaints department.
And that's not to say we don't want to have a laugh,
genuinely,
guys. Trust me, we'll probably have episodes where we just talk stupidity and nonsense and just have wacky conversations, because I still need to exercise that part of my brain. But it is kind of the one time a week where I just kind of let my thoughts just kind of I'm not thinking about what I'm thinking about. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of let it happen. Yeah. So it is kind of neat to be in that zone, because I talked about before how I put myself out there in a sense. I am pretty honest with, in the context of being public but private, I'm pretty honest with a lot of things that I've gone through or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, I never truly just let my thoughts kind of not ramble, I don't know if that's the right word, but just kind of run out of me in a sense. So I think it is cool to have this space to do so. And we do have people that, I will say that there's been a few of my friends in my real life that have listened to this, which is really odd to me. I'm like, okay. But then just people that we both know, I'm not going to name them, but we do have people that listen to this show, and I'm like, oh, I get Snapchats from people that I have on my Snapchat list of oh, I'm just watching you and Ray, and I'm like, oh, I guess you can. I guess you do have the access to do that, and I don't know why I don't think about that, but I'm like, I guess these people do have the access to it. I guess. I don't know why it's like that, but even just people on my TikTok following, I put out clips on my TikTok just purely because I have a little bit of a following on there. So I'm like, well, it would be stupid not to at least try and get some people to listen. And I have people that are like, oh, I'm going to listen to this. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess you only see, if you're watching me on TikTok, you're only seeing a minute of me every day or so, and me just basically just rambling about bullshit. You're seeing a completely different part of me and stuff like that. But I think it is cool, and I think it's healthy to talk about stuff because we really don't have too many limits. I mean, there's lots of things that we haven't talked about, but in my brain, I'm like, I will talk about anything. It doesn't bother me.
No. Yeah, that's right. It's just been, just an hour chat every week and just see where it takes us. And yeah, you do forget that people are listening or are going to listen because we just been just seeing where it takes us. It's good. I really look forward to it. I guess that's as good a place as any to finish though. Socials, find them. Apples to oranges. Josh's socials, Josh Robertson 00. All of them. Find them there.
You got it.
And then I'll try to be better.
Don't worry, friends. For all the people that want more of Ray, I'm behind him. Don't worry. I'm like, you can do it, Ray. I said, here's the password to the socials. Go for it. And he was like, oh, all right. And then listen, he posted for the first time on the account today. I'm going to make sure he's replying to people. I'm going to make sure that people, we're a small train, but we're moving forward. Choo choo or whatever.
Exactly right.
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
What do trains say? I don't think they speak, but whatever.
Well, yeah, okay, I guess we're signing off.
Choo choo, goodbye.
Choo-choo.
That's a good way to put it.